All right, one last story for you guys. Let's roll it.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
Oh, is that so? Well, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem claims that she has not deported any citizens or military veterans, but Representative Seth Magaziner brings up two instances where DHS has done exactly that. Before we get into the details, Cenk, I know you and Anna covered a similar story earlier this week, so I'd love to get your 2 cents.
Yeah, no, this is different because Democrats effectively stood up to Kristi Noem. That's like the most shocking news you'll hear all month. So you're gonna see a bunch of instances here where Democrats do a fantastic job in hearings. I'm blown away by it, so let's show you.
All right, so the first case that Magaziner brought up involved the deportation of a veteran who was shot twice while serving in the US military in Panama in 1989.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old.
All right, so that was one. And the second case that he brings up is that of the wife of Navy combat veteran Jim Brown.
His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife Donna has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation.
So in both of those cases, Noem thanked the veterans for their service to our country and then committed to looking over their cases. I can't say that I'm entirely confident anything will come from that. The reason being, the objective of ICE isn't to get dangerous illegal criminals out of this country. It's to bolster the Trump administration. They know that the majority of people who voted for Trump in 2024 did so because of illegal immigration. They know that a big part of the messaging coming from the Trump campaign was anti-immigrant. So now they have to maintain the image of being tough on immigration. The problem is that the Trump claim that there are gangs of dangerous drug criminals and terrorists running rampant across our country, it turns out wasn't entirely true. So now they've got to at least look like they're being tough on immigration. But even the right wing is taking notice of it. Take a look.
When you have this clumsy, kind of somewhat insane, over the top deportations, people are looking at this and going, it's unserious. It's unserious, it's childish, it's cruel. I think one of the problems with whatever the MAGA movement has evolved into is it's duped their hardcore followers so much that the only thing left now is performative cruelty.
So of course, we know now that about a third of the people arrested by ICE had no criminal record at all, and that's nearly 75,000 people. And the people who voted for Trump in 2024 did so because they were told that these immigrants were dangerous, violent criminals, and they wanted those dangerous, violent people gone. Even those voters did not ask for non-violent, non-criminal immigrants who came here legally to be targeted this way. So Cenk, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I'll tell you why it's happening, and then shockingly, Nick Fuentes is also going to agree. And he's gonna make a similar point to Dillon. So I'll come back to that in a second. First, they're deporting about 840 people a day so far this year. But in order to break Obama's record, they have to do 3,000 a day. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. It's already too late. But Stephen Miller put a ton of pressure on them to do that because he wanted Trump to be the deporter in chief, not Obama. And so there's a lot of ironies in that statement. But since they can't make it, and since they can't square two different things at the same time, they're gonna have to do something else instead. What do I mean by the two different things? Well, you can't make both your base and the general population happy here because they're in conflict. The base wants mass deportations, and they're not unclear about that. And that is a significant chunk of Republican voters. But the general population in America does not want mass deportations, and they wanted the border closed. And Trump did give him that. That's why he was popular in the beginning with that. They do want undocumented criminal folks to be taken out of the country, and that was popular, and Trump did do that in the beginning. But now when they got to mass deportations, they lost Rogan, Dillon, everyone, all the independent podcasters, independent media. But most importantly, they lost the independent voters. And so now all of a sudden Trump is polling badly in immigration because he's gone way too far. So since he can't get good polling on this and make his base happy at the same time, instead he's doing this switcheroo, this 3-card Monte that Dillon is talking about. So, well, I can't give you the amount of deportations you want, so I'll give you performative cruelty instead. Shockingly, even Nick Fuentes acknowledges that and recognizes that. Watch.
So I do think it's performative. And what I mean by that is, when they're doing the deportations, they know the deportations are not where the base wants them to be. They deported, the figures are disputed, but from my data, it's 300,000 in the year, which is not a massive deportation. They know the base is unhappy with that. So what do? The deportations that they are carrying out, they do a big spectacle and they arrest everybody and they film it and they put a hype at it. And there's a meanness in there. They played that song, I think from Sabrina Carpenter or something, and they make it a joke, they make it glib, and they do that because they're not delivering on the promise, so they compensate by doing it meaner, edgier, more mean-spirited, so that the base will overlook the fact that it's not happening. And I think that's by definition performative cruelty. You can call me a hypocrite, but it's definitely true about what they're doing in the administration.
Yeah, I show you guys that because not because we agree with Fuentes. Fuentes wants mass deportation. I'm on the left, I don't want it. Dillon's an independent, he doesn't want it. Fuentes does want it, but we all agree that we have eyes and ears. And whether you want the mass deportation or not, that's not exactly this. This is performative cruelty to try to trick you into thinking mission accomplished. And now all the way back to the Democrats effectively challenging Noem. I mean, here's veterans with like microscopic infractions that took bullets for this country being deported. What is that? I mean, so I think that the administration is misreading this. Number one, they're getting caught by their own side. We see you. This isn't really mass deportations. I mean, I think it to me qualifies, but it doesn't qualify for his base. And you're not tricking us with the performative cruelty. And no one asked you to deport veterans who took bullets for this country. So it went very poorly for Noem there, and surprisingly good grilling by the Democrats.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that's kind of happening now. We're not even a year into this Trump administration, but a lot of his old tricks he's learning are not working as well as they did the first time around, because there's only so much you can say to people before they're like, you know what, this isn't even what we asked for. He promised America first on a lot of things. He promised less involvement in places like Israel. His own base does not like the things that he is doing, and they're asking him to stop. And now they're realizing that he's not even listening to us. It's not just like he's trying to stick it to the libs or to the left. He's not even listening to us. We're his people, and he's not helping us the way that he said that he wanted to help us. So there's a lot of disconnect, I think, now between this Trump administration and the Trump voters that is much more just more tangibly felt than it was during his first administration. They're seeing the things that he's doing. They're asking him to stop doing it. They're asking him for help. Even just recently, he did a rally where he was touting how good the economy's doing, and his own supporters turned up to that rally with signs saying, "We want higher wages and we want lower prices." And that is not what he offered them, and that is not what he is offering them. And even if he does manage to somehow manage grocery prices right now, it'll only be to compensate for the fact that he inflated them in the first place with a lot of his tariffs and a lot of his economic policies. Even his old trick of trying to blame the last guy for the bad economy is not working, because as soon as he got into office, he enacted several very, very strong economic measures. And so it's very hard to separate him and this economy from, it's very hard to separate this economy from his administration and from him specifically. So hopefully this will continue.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.